Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to continue on our ranch house. Last time we started making our sill plate that sits on top of the foundation and made one center joist. Now it's weird that it's kind of combined together as one part, where in reality that would be a separate um, board, but in the virtual world it's a little easier to join it together and have fewer parts. So we're going to do it that way. Now, this next joist, if you'll remember, we had some rectangles drawn that we haven't used yet that are going to be what's called a rim joist. It's going to sit on the edge and it's going to sandwich these other joists that are going across. So I'm going to have to create a plane that is inward so we can start our joist pattern away from where that rim joist is going to sit. So now I'm zoomed in a little bit. It's kind of going to be hard to see. I think I'm going to keep zoomed in here so you can see what I'm doing. I need to make a plane that is inward from the outside, this outside edge of the board, or the wall, which is flush with this board. Okay, so this board surface there and this wall share a plane, right? But I have to go in 1.5 inches from that to start my drawing. So here we go. We're going to come up here. You probably already have it as default, but in a drop-down menu will be plane. Plane. We're going to click this big flat surface. Click to offset from. Now, if I zoom out, it's going to show me that I am creating a plane, and right now that plane is I can move it around, right? So I want to go that way. I want to go away from. So what I did is I just drew or I just dragged that arrow with the mouse key. Now the distance I want to go is 1.5. Enter. Now, if you zoom in, you should see that little plane, see, it's kind of hard to see, but you can see how that plane is in a little bit from the edge, and that is what we want. Okay, so I'm going to hover over that plane. It's a little tricky. Why isn't the plane showing up? Okay, it's not. That's fine. So I'll do this by hitting sketch, and I want to sketch on plane 1. Now, it's not one to show up for me. I'm not sure why that is. These things are happening. I think I'll refresh once and see what happens. Okay. I don't know why, the kind of things happen, but there's always a way to do it. You might be able to hover over that and have that plane show up, but for whatever reason, it's not working for me. So if I can scroll all the way down to the bottom, there's plane 1, okay? And I can sketch. If it won't show up, I'll come over here to the browser and say I want to sketch on this sketch plane that I just made, okay? And that shows me our sketch. I'm going to view N for normal. Now, you can do this too. I'm going to turn off the visibility of the plane now that I know that I'm sketching on it, just because I don't like things in my way. N for normal, okay? Or I could have clicked on the front. Now, I need to start. I'm zooming way in to this little corner right here is where I'm going to start my rectangle. Now, I don't know if it will show up. Let's try it. I'm going to click rectangle, click down here. See, it won't show up for me to hook to. So hit escape. I'm going to put a point there. For whatever reason, you can put a point, but not the edge of the rectangle. So go figure. So I'm going to put a point on, oh, that won't work either. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I need to go up here to project and convert. And I'm going to use just this little line, or that little point right there. I'm going to project that. Click, and that gives me a little dot. It moved the sketch plane around too, but who cares? Now that little dot is right in there where I want to start that corner. So again, I'm going to click on front to bring myself perpendicular to that. I just wanted to show you. Zoom in a bit. Okay, I'm going to hit escape to get out of that command. Go back into my rectangle command. I'm going to click my first corner on that point. Click, pull, click again. And now I'm going to put in my dimensions, which are 1.5 thick. Enter. And it is 9.25 high. Enter. Okay. Now, I'm going to, so I can see what I'm doing, go down here and I'm going to turn off the sill plate part. Now, it looks like it's floating in space. It's not. But I need to make my other one, I need to make another rectangle. Now, if you hover over this part and drag out, see that little yellow line that shows up? That means that I'm lined up horizontally with that point, and that's what I want. So again, you're going to hover over this corner, drag while you're hovering. I haven't clicked anything. It just automatically sees that. And I am going to click and pull outward, click again, and put in my dimensions, 1.5, enter, 9.25, enter. Now, the reason why we're doing this is we're going to make a pattern. Don't worry, you're not going to have to make every single one of these things. We're going to pattern it in just a minute. But the first one is not 16 inches from the center of this to the center of this. The first one is from the outside of this board to the middle of this board. Okay, same thing with when we were building walls. The first one is not 16 inches center to center, but the rest of them will be. So that's why we have to do these two. All right, so next is we're going to use our dimension tool. And we're going to go from the outside of this board. Now, I won't be able to hook up to the middle. So actually, hold on that, escape. I need to put a point, like we've done before, in the middle of that board. There we go. Now, we're going to dimension from the outside edge of this board to that point is going to be 16 inches. Okay. All right, and we've got two boards. Now, pay attention carefully because this is going to be a little bit weird to do. So we're going to do these one at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and finish my sketch. I'm going to turn back on, zoom it out instead of in. I'm going to turn back on my sill plate, okay? Now, we're going to extrude just one of them. Extrude, and I'm only going to do this one. Click. Now, it's going the wrong way. It's going towards me. I want it to go, click that arrow to go away from me. And instead of blind, I'm going to go up to next. When it hits that board over there, it will stop. Check. Good. Now, we've got one joist right there, which unfortunately doesn't show the seam, but I don't care. That's the way it goes. All right, now we have to turn on that sketch just above this. So we got to go down to the bottom of the list, go to this sketch that we just had and turn on the visibility of it again. Now we're going to do another extrude. I'm going to extrude this one now. Same thing, go the other direction, and we're going to go, instead of blind, we're going to do that little drop-down menu and go up to next. Cool. All right, now I can turn off that sketch that I don't want to see anymore. Okay, and we're going to call this last extrude that we did this one. For me, it's extrude 15. You guys might have a different order. I'm going to right-click on that and call that, I'm just going to rename it, call it joist 1. Let's call it joist pattern start. Okay, that way we know that that's the one that's going to start the pattern. All right, now this is kind of cool. Stop doing that. All right, if you click on something, you got to click away from it. All right, now here's where the magic is going to happen. This is going to be cool. You're going to like this. So we're going to take that thing, that extrude that we just did, this joist pattern start. I'm going to click on it to highlight it over here. And we're going to come up here to the middle of this. Now, again, you might have drop-down menus because depending on the size of your screen, it might not look exactly like this, but somewhere up here is this thing that is a linear pattern. You might need a drop-down menu to find it. Linear pattern. It says, what entities do you want to pattern? Well, I thought that I would be able to do that. Now, right now, it wants to do a part pattern, which I don't want to pattern a part. I want to pattern a feature. So there's a little drop-down menu right here. I want a feature pattern. Okay, so it should say feature pattern, and it says, what features would you like to pattern? I thought that this would stay that way, but it looks, when I highlighted it, but I want to do that joist pattern start extrusion. Okay, now it says, what direction do you want to go? I'm going to click that, and I'm going to click any line, any single line. Be careful that you're not getting an area. We want a single line that goes in the direction I want to go across that house like that. Now, I want a distance of 16 inches. Now, it's showing red right now, which I'm not sure why that is. We'll see what happens. Oh, I know why, because I need to click apply per instance. I don't know why it makes me do that, but it will. Now notice that it's shown one already, so that the first one is included in the pattern. We want to have 2. I have no idea how many. Well, it's 42 divided by 1.4. I don't know. Let's just play around with it until we get it right. Let's try 20 and see what happens. Hit enter, and it will give you a little preview. That wasn't enough. Let's try 30. Enter. Ooh, that's just about right, although I might need one more. Let's go 31. Enter. All right, that will do it. That will bring us almost to the end. Now we're going to need another board over here, and that's okay. That's the way it goes. But we've got all of our joists now that we can make with that pattern. Cool. Check it out. This house is starting to come together. There's our joists. All right, a lot of joists, but you need a lot of structure. What if you put a grand piano in there? It's going to be heavy. All right, cool. Let's finish this off and do this last joist over here. And we're going to do the kind of the same thing that we did. Now, even though I don't see that plane that was there before, remember that plane over here? This plane, it's called plane 1 for me. It might be called plane 2 for you if you had one more. So we're going to sketch on that plane again. Sketch on that plane that I just found, which was, for me, it was that one. Okay, click. We're going to view the front of it. Now, again, just like we did last time, on the other edge, we put a point. Oops, sorry, we used, my bad, this little point right here. Click on that. And then we're going to make our rectangle. On our rectangle from there, this time we're kind of pulling right. Click 1.5. and 9, enter, and 9.25. Enter. Hopefully you're kind of getting better at all this stuff so you can predict what's going to happen. And finish our sketch, extrude that shape other way. Guess where? To next. Okay, cool. And it's merging with the sill plate, which is what I want. All right, now you could go through that whole process again on the other side. Is that what you would like to do? Good, me neither. I want to do it the easier way. So here's what we're going to do is we're just going to mirror all of that stuff to the other side. So here is how to do that. Watch carefully again. It's going to be that you have to click the right stuff. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to put a plane right through the middle of this house. And the way to do that is we're going to go up here to plane again, same as you did before. And this time we're going to, instead of create an offset, we're going to create a mid plane. So choose that thing. Now, in order to create a midplane, it's going to put it right in the middle of any two existing planes that you choose. So we got to be careful. You might have to go back and do this twice if you mess up. So we're going to do the very front wall of the house as one of our planes. Click. Now you have to move around by clicking and holding down on the right mouse button, and we'll click on this other wall on the other side. And what you should get is a plane that goes right through the middle of the house. Again, you might, if it didn't work, you might have to go back and watch that part again. Okay, and we're going to say, okay, cool. Okay, now it's called plane 2. Let's go back here and right click on that and rename it and call it mid plane. Okay, so we know where the middle is. All right, now watch this. This is going to be really cool and really fun. Okay, so if you remember right, we had this one over here from this, anything that looks like that. So we had a total of 1, 2, and 3, no, 4 extrudes, because we made first board, second board, pattern, and then the end board. So there's the last 4 things are extrusions that we should pattern. Okay, so here's what we're going to do is we're going to come up here, new thing called mirror. And mirror allows us to duplicate a part and mirror it across the plane. So we're going to choose mirror. Now, right now it's a part mirror. I do not want to mirror a part. I want to mirror a feature. Okay. And right now it's saying what features do you want to mirror? And it's those 4 things that were the 3 extrusions and a pattern. That one, that one, that one, and that one. Okay. So I've chosen the 4 things. It says, what mirror plane would you like? I'm going to click that to activate it and make it blue, and the mid plane is what I want. I'm going to choose that mid plane. Click, and it'll take a second. Check it out. Joists all the way across the house. Looking cool. All right. Now let's turn off the visibility of the mid plane. Don't need to see it anymore. And we're looking good. Just for fun, I think I'm going to make that a different color, like a little more yellowish, so it kind of looks like it. So I can go down here to sill plate, edit appearance, get more of a, yeah, that looks like actual lumber. Haha, cool. All right. I'm doing this for the first time too, guys. I'm not, so this is kind of fun for me. All right, so we got our joist. Now, if you will remember, a while back, we renamed this sketch as long joints. So now we can go put the rim joists in. And I hope you see why we couldn't do it before, because we wouldn't have been able to see what we were doing with these other joists. So let's go ahead and go back and turn on the long joists sketch. Rotate yourself around so you can see the kind of the side of the house. It's gonna, you got to learn how to move around and zoom in and out, because we've got little areas we got to focus on and then big areas we got to focus on. So now now that this is visible, we're going to extrude, and we're going to extrude that rectangular shape on the one side. Click. Now I'm going to go all the way, zoom out, and move to the other side. Again, if you mess up, you just hit undo and start over. That one on the other side. Now it's coming towards me. I want it to go the other way. I do want to add it to the sill plate. Okay, and we're going to go that 42 feet. 42 times 12. Enter. And good. And that will make us our sill plate, or our rim joists is what those are called. And we will now turn off that sketch, the long joint sketch. I don't need to see it anymore. And Look at that. We've got a subfloor is what we call that, because this is what's under your floor, right? With a what we call a crawl space underneath it. Crawl space is how you get through from one side to the other. And actually, I forgot, in a normal house, you would have a cutout in this little middle wall in here. There should be a hole in there somewhere. So if you needed to get through this and into the underneath the house, that you have access to it. Maybe we'll do that later, but not right now. All right, then. That is looking pretty cool. Now, to continue on and put the plywood on here, we're going to do things a little different from this point forward, because now we've got, this is called a part studio, and we have 3 parts all kind of connected together. But now we're going to go into the assembly environment. We're going to start working in the assembly environment. So click on, you already have this thing called Assembly 1. There's a tab there the whole time we haven't used. If not, you can say Insert and create an assembly, but it should be there already. So in the assembly environment, you might have had a window already pop up. If it doesn't, we need to click Insert, and we are going to insert Part Studio 1 as an entire entity. Now you could do separate parts, but we're going to put that in as its own thing, which will come in and put those things in. Now, here is a problem, and do not do this. So, by the way, I just clicked what I wanted, clicked in space, and now I'm going to say, okay, good. Now, don't do this. I am going to show you a problem that we can have, which is this whole thing will move separately, and I don't want that to happen. So undo. And what I need to do is to make sure that these things are not going to move on me. And I am going to hit, where is it? There's something up here called group. Okay, I need to find it. Here it is. And so what group will do is it will lock all those together and not make them move. So I'm going to hit group, and I'm going, it says, what instances do you want? I want that, the foundation and the land and the sill plate to all be locked together. It will turn that bright yellow like that, and that's normal. Check. Cool. And those are now grouped together. So now if I go try and move that, it doesn't move. Now, one thing I also want to do, because things will move in relation to each other, is come up here to the land, which is the biggest thing, right click on it, and you're going to come down here to fix. And what that's going to do, it's going to lock that in space so other things don't move in relation to it. All right, so now we are working in the assembly environment. We're going to start assembling. This will make it so that we don't have weird like single parts of, you know, this whole thing being one part, which is not normal. But we're now going to make our plywood pieces, and that will be where we stop today. We'll assemble them next time. Now, the 42 by 32 works out really well for a 4 by 8 sheet of plywood, because we can cut them in such a way that we don't have waste. So here's how to do that. We're going to create 4 new parts, but we're going to do it in one environment. So click New Element down here, create Part Studio. Okay, we're going to go ahead and sketch on the top. Right click, New Sketch. P gets rid of planes, or clicking on top view gets us normal. And we're going to just make 4 rectangles. So this is going to be super easy. Rectangle 1, I don't want to have that little yellow. In fact, let's turn off the origin so it's not showing up. Oh, it still wants to hook up to it. Weird. All right, so number 1, now this is going to get a lot bigger when I do this. Click is going to be 96 inches long, that's 8 feet, and 48, I can zoom out if I want, but I know what it's doing. It wants me to put in that other number, which is 48. Okay, that is a 4x8 sheet of plywood, but we're also going to cut some of them in half. So let's come up like up here and do this. And we're going to say that we're going to have a 48 by 48 piece when it's cut in half. And yes, the saw would cut a little tiny bit out, but we don't need to account for that. And finally, we're going to make two more where we cut it into a 6-foot and a 2-foot piece. So two more. We're going to make this next one 24 by 48. And the last one will be, again, it doesn't really matter even where you're putting them. The last one over here will be 72 6 feet by 48. Okay, I might need to come back and change those again, but I believe that that all is going to work well. So this is a half sheet. These two are a full sheet cut in a 2-foot and a 6-foot section. All right, so we're going to say, okay, cool. Okay, and then extrude these all up to 3/4 of an inch, which is pretty standard for a floor. So we're going to extrude that and that and that and that up to 0.75. Now it's going to make 4 parts, and that's okay. And enter, and we got 4 separate parts. Now I'm going to make them all kind of that same color, but I'm going to rename them. So part 1, when you hover over it, you'll see that that is the 4x8 sheet. So we're going to rename that as 4x8 sheet. We're going to rename this next one. Whoops, I didn't hover over it to see what it was. That's a 4x4 sheet. Yours might not be in the same order. Okay. Hover over this next one. That is going to be a 4x2. It's a little weird to use the bigger number first, but 4x2 sheet. And that leaves the last one should be my 4x6 sheet. This is in feet, which is normal terminology for plywood. All right, now I'm going to make all these, I think, kind of that color that I liked with the floor, because, and I'll remember it's 2 down over there. If you really want to make your plywood a purple or something, you go for it. I don't care, but I can't handle it. All right, so you're going to now take a picture of your assembly, and what I would like you to do is include this stuff over here. So when you take your image of it, include your browser so that I can see that you've done these things and grouped, and that you've got a group. And then also let's right click on that part studio and rename it as plywood, or let's call it flooring. That way we know what that is, and you're going to take a picture of this flooring that you made, and we're good to go. And we'll see you next time when we're actually going to install the flooring.